Hey, welcome to Lend Me Your Ear. I'm here with Ginny Leamy, Compass Real Estate. Ginny has agreed to join me today in sharing with her knowledge about what's happening in the overall marketplace, especially in Elmhurst and the near Western Suburbs. Welcome, Ginny.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, it's so wonderful having you. We've been trying to get this together for some time now, and I'm glad that we were finally able to coordinate things and have you come into our home studio. So, Ginny, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the real estate business.
Oh my gosh. So I started 37 years ago. I was 22 years old and didn't know anything about real estate and kind of got thrown into it. So it's been a very long road, and a lot of things have changed in 37 years.
Oh my God.
Sure.
Have they ever?
Yeah.
Have they ever? So you've seen the ups, you've seen the downs. What can you tell or share with us as far as what you're suggesting for home buyers in today's market?
Oh boy. So it's a really rough market right now for buyers. If you have something to sell, it's a great market. We just have way more buyers than we do sellers right now. Mm-hmm. So as a first-time buyer especially, you're going to have your work cut out for you. Almost everything we're seeing is going at or over list price right now.
So even with rates being at the levels that we're seeing right now, I know they've tempered a little bit, but we're still in the mid to high sixes.
Yeah, even with rates up. The problem is that there's just not enough inventory. So you have people who are my age and your age,
right,
who have a 2 3/4 interest rate, and they don't want to sell that house to get into a 7% interest rate. So all of those sellers now are kind of staying where they're at.
Right.
So normally those sellers would be moving on, and they're not. So most of the buyers that we're seeing right now, what they can look at are people who are retiring. So sellers who are retiring, sellers who are moving out of state, sellers who are moving into a nursing home, somebody who's passed away. So the inventory that we usually have is just not coming on the market. So the buyers that are out there right now have very limited resources to look at.
Yeah, and the stats bear that out, folks. On the day that we're recording this in early May, statistics are showing that overall applications are down nearly 30% year over year. But do you suggest that buyers wait for rates to dip?
No, I would have thought that 3 years ago, I would have thought that we would be in a very different place right now. So,
right.
Here's my concern is that, as an example, last week I wrote 2 offers. One was with a first-time buyer, so they could go up to about 300. There were 9 other offers on that property.
My goodness.
We didn't get it.
Yeah.
I had another one that's going 20% down. It's a 465 price range. There were 24 offers on that property. So I think that you just need to get out in the game.
Yeah.
Start looking at stuff, see what's on the market, see if what's out there you like, and just go for it. Because I don't know what next year is going to bring.
Right.
If I knew what next year is going to bring, I could be doing a lot of different things in life than selling real estate. But there's just no inventory. I'll give you an example. So in Elmhurst right now, a total of 44 houses are on the market. A total of 44 houses in the whole town. There are 11 under 500,000. Only 11 houses under 500,000 on the market. There's 11 between 500,000 and $1 million. And then when you get over $1 million, there's 22 houses. So for the normal buyer under that 500,000 price range, or even 500 to $1 million, there's really not that much to look at.
Right.
And then when you do look at it, you're going to get into a multiple offer.
Okay. So I'm assuming that you're suggesting that any of the buyers that you're working with not only get pre-approved, but be ready to move immediately upon.
You can't wait. So I showed 14 properties last night. Today, I got calls that 7 of them already had multiple offers. And these are all houses that have just come out in the last few days.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you are out there looking, if you are ready to buy and you've been pre-approved for your mortgage, don't even bother if you haven't been pre-approved for your mortgage, but you've been pre-approved for your mortgage, you need to be able to make a decision that day, or most likely you're not going to have a chance at it. And even making a decision that day, most likely you're going to be in a multiple offer.
My goodness.
Here's the problem is everybody wants the same house.
Right.
They want it all fixed up. They want an open floor plan. They want the white cabinets and the gray walls and the dark hardwood floors. So if that's what you like, you're going to have a lot of competition. If you're somebody who can do a little bit of work, maybe you're still going to have competition, but maybe you won't have as much competition as you would if you're buying the same thing that everybody else wants.
Yeah. So this is why, I'm suggesting to folks that you don't necessarily have to have your forever home as your first home. Back in the day, back when Ginny and I were purchasing, that first home that we purchased was just a stepping stone, an opportunity to build some equity and move forward beyond that. And, what I'm also suggesting is, you may not find that cookie cutter home, but we also offer renovation financing that can help you make that less than perfect home into your dream home.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of work. You might have to do a little bit of painting. You might have to refinish the floors or put in some new carpeting. Make it your house, not the house that somebody else is living. You want to make it your house anyway.
Exactly. What about sellers? What are you suggesting for sellers? So let's say they're in a different mode right now and they are able to sell. Maybe they've got plenty of equity that even if they were to downside, they don't have to take on a mortgage. What are you suggesting for sellers?
So that's that's one of our sellers too, right? Is somebody who has no mortgage left on their house. So the interest rate doesn't matter to them. They're going to sell it, use cash to buy something else. Anyone out there who's thinking about selling, this is the market to do it. Prices are still going up. You're going to have a lot of people coming in to see your house. And if you're not quite ready, and this is something I've told people lately too, if you're not quite ready and you're thinking, well, I still have a couple things I want to do to make it look perfect for photos, talk to your agent about going into the private listing network. We call it the PLN. The PLN is just for realtors to look at. So buyers don't have access to it. It doesn't go to the public market. It's just for the private market. So talk to your agent about that. It might be a good stepping stone. It might be a good test place. See how much activity you're going to get on it. See if you're pricing it right. But then you don't have to have all the photos done already. It doesn't have to be in perfect condition. Those buyers are just excited to get into a house that maybe somebody else isn't looking at. Fantastic.
So now while you help buyers all over this, the northern part of the Chicagoland area, I know that your primary marketplace is the near Western Suburbs, like ELmhurst. And you've alluded to what some of the numbers are in ELmhurst. Can you share a little bit more about what you're seeing in ELmhurst and the surrounding Western Burbs?
Yes, we talked about ELmhurst a little bit, and I can tell you that right now, ELmhurst average day on the market is about 76 days. Now, understand that 76 days means going on the market, going under contract to clossing.
Yeah.
So, and you can average closing is going to be 45 to 60 days. So being 76 days on the market, that's a pretty short market time right now that we're seeing. Lombard is a little bit lower price range. Lombard right now, there's 30 houses on the market.
Wow.
Only 9 under 300,000. And that's that sweet spot for our first-time buyer, right? There's only 9 on the market. Villa Park, there's only 10 total on the market in Villa Park. Then you go to some of our other, like near West Suburbs. Berkeley's got 1 active listing. Hillside's got 5 active listings. Westchester, 11 active listings. So there's just not a lot of inventory. So you as a seller, if you're thinking, maybe I should do this right now, maybe I should at least find out what it's worth, I would encourage you to do that. Find out what your house is worth. Find out what you can get for it. But also talk to your agent about where you're going to go. You got to have a place to go. I don't want to make clients homeless. So are we going to end up in, are we going to rent for a while? Are we going to have to find something right away? Can we buy without selling? These are all things to talk about. And I'm sure when you're talking to your different clients and they say, can I buy without selling? That's a big thing right now.
It's a huge thing. And, and to Ginny's point, you have to have a contingency plan. So let's say you can sell without, selling your current home, buy without selling your current home, excuse me. Are you going to have a place to go in the event you can't find that home that you want to make your own at that point? So now in today's day and age, especially with what COVID has taught us, that many consumers are working from their home. Are you suggesting also for buyers to maybe expand their home search a little bit further out from where they might ideally like to go?
Yeah, and I think that once you get out there and start looking and you find out what costs are, what a house that you want to live in is going to cost you, that's going to that's going to make that decision for you.
Right.
And yeah, if you can work from home, it's going to change everything. It might mean moving out of state.
Right.
So, and if you're going to move out of state and you're going to sell now, then you might want to rent for a while in your new place so that you really get a feel for where you want to live.
Right. So what are you telling folks that are considering purchasing a second home or a vacation home?
So I think right now is a really good time to do that if you can afford to do it. I would try to buy someplace that if you're going to buy a second home, think about someplace you're going to want to retire as well.
Right.
So you might want to use it as a second home right now. You might want to use it just during different seasons, but try to do something that you can also rent out. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at condos, oftentimes they're not going to let you do short-term rentals. You might only be able to do 1 month or 2 month or 6 month or year-long rentals. So make sure that you're looking at what the association's saying that you can do. For a single family home, that might not be an issue, but there's more and more rules for Airbnbs and that kind of stuff. So, but if you're going to look for a second home, I think this is a great time to do it, especially with our stock market not doing so well. You might be better off taking your money out of the stock market and putting it into a home just to diversify a little bit.
Right.
So, but make it someplace that you want to retire. maybe have that place paid off by the time you retire because you've been renting it out.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And to Ginny's point, in today's inflationary times, folks are looking for alternative investments, and real estate historically has been a great hedge against inflation, and hence why we've seen the rapid rise in valuation over the past few years. It was because of a couple of factors. Ginny briefly alluded to it. The reason we have more buyers out there is because a large amount of millennials and Gen Xers are getting into the marketplace, and the pool of potential homes has shrunk. So because of that, we're seeing a rapid increase in valuation. So despite interest rates going up, despite the slowdown in the economy, the housing market, while it has slowed down, valuations continue to increase. So if you think that by waiting, things will improve themselves, I would highly suggest that you take that plunge sooner rather than later. And, Ginny also mentioned earlier that, if you're ready to buy, don't dilly-dally. This is not the time to have or wait for an aunt or uncle to come and look at the home.
Right.
Make that decision now. You always have a brief period of time to review things after you've gone to contract, but now's not the time to dilly-dally. Listen to your realtor, especially a professional like Ginny, who's been in the industry well over 30 years. She'll suggest to you what kind of offer to make, and it's imperative that you listen to a professional today.
And understand, a lot of people really struggle paying over list price. That's really pretty much what you're going to have to do right now on most houses. I'm not going to say every house, but on most houses, you're going to have to pay over list. And I know there's a big concern about interest rates today, where they are today versus where they were a year and a half ago. This is what I try to tell my clients. You're not married to that interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
You're dating the interest rate. You're married to the house. So if you find the right house that you love and you can afford with today's interest rates, go for it. And then down the road, when interest rates start to come down a little bit, then you can call Pat and do a refi on it. But right now, if you can afford it at this interest rate and you are loving the house, go for it and then refi it later.
You can always refi later. And,
but if interest rates go up from today to the next year, you're going to be thrilled that you got locked in where we are today.
Exactly. And what I experienced, and I know what Ginny did as well with the homes that she's held over the past several decades, is that interest rates do go up, come down, and you refinance.
Right.
My first mortgage, and it wasn't because I had bad credit, but my first mortgage in the 80s was at 12%.
Right.
And I slowly, steadily saw that decline throughout the years.
Right.
So I know we were all initially shocked by how quickly and how high interest rates have gone, but in all honesty, where rates are today is the historical average.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, when I started, interest rates were 18%.
Right.
So, today's rates, again, historically look great.
Right.
It's just when you go back a year and a half, it looks a little bit difficult.
I equate it to individuals who were purchasing cars a few years ago at 0% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Once they started to charge a regular, more normal interest, everybody spooked at first. Things slow down, but now people are still buying cars wherever they are, 6 to 10% interest rates. So,
and we all need a place to live.
Right.
So you're either going to own or you're going to rent. And right now, rental prices are off the charts crazy, and you're getting nothing back for it. So at least if you own, you're getting the tax write-off for your interest. You're getting tax write-off for your taxes. You're getting equity being built into your property.
Savings, yeah.
Right. It's almost like a forced savings account. When you're renting, you get none of that.
Absolutely. And I've gone on this program many times, is that one of the key ways of building generational wealth is through owning real estate. And if you can take that first step, own that first home, and then subsequently possibly purchase a second home, you're well on your way to building wealth, because historically, at least, real estate has maintained a hedge against inflation.
Right. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I had a client a couple of years ago. I sold her a condo. She was the first person in her entire family, to ever own a property. And I talked to her mom, and I was just so proud that she was able to buy this property. I talked to her mom and I said, you really should own a property too. And she's probably in her 50s. And she said, I'll never be able to pay it off. Why would I buy a house? And I said, you don't have to pay it off, but you've been renting now. You're 50 some years old. You've been renting for 30 some years. So she thought about it and she called last year and she said, okay, I think I'm ready to buy a condo. And it was just such a gratifying experience to be able to reach out to somebody and say, hey, you can do this. And now after 30 some years of renting, she actually owns her own property. So she and her daughter both own a condo and no one in their family had ever owned a condo, which is like the best thing.
One of the questions I was going to ask you, Ginny, is why do you do what you do?
Yeah,
And I think that's why.
That's why.
You know, and I agree, wholeheartedly agree with Ginny. It's so gratifying and so fulfilling for us when we can help you achieve that dream of home ownership, and more so, especially if it's an individual who is the first of their family or the first of their generation to be able to take that plunge. It's just so
first-time
gratifying.
buyers for me are so much fun.
Oh my goodness.
You know, they just, you know, they've watched all the TV shows and they think they know what it's going to look like, and they think they're going to look at 3 or 4 houses and the perfect house will be in their price range, and just the whole education process and the hand holding. And it's a cool job.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So Ginny, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things that I would probably tell myself. But you mean about business?
Yeah, let's keep it business. Yes, let's keep it in business.
You know, I think actually I got so much good advice back then that it would probably have been similar advice that I give myself now. Work really hard. Mm-hmm. Be honest. Mm-hmm. Your reputation is everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get emotional about it. Your reputation is everything, and when you've been in this business as long as I have, that reputation follows you. So I think I would say that. I mean, and again, I got that great advice from mentors and along the way. So,
wonderful. I didn't mean it to go that. I didn't mean to go Oprah on you.
Sorry about that.
It's quite all right, but it's so true. I mean, what we do, we just have to stay true to ourselves and be confident that what we're doing is going to help individuals down the road, and not to take ourselves too seriously as well.
Right. And I mean, most of my business, and probably yours too, comes from referrals.
Right.
So if you're not doing a great job with your clients, you can't stay in this business 37 years if you're not getting all your repeat clients and referrals. So it says a lot if you've been in this business a long time and you're still
absolutely.
You're still
and to me, and I agree with Ginny. To me, it's more important that my reputation stays where it is, because ultimately, it doesn't matter whether I'm helping an individual with a $50,000 condo or a $500,000 condo. We treat everyone the same way. We want to help everyone, and
because that $50,000 condo is everything to them. No different than the $500,000 house that somebody else is buying. It doesn't matter what price range it is. Yeah, I think that's probably maybe the best advice that anybody could get is every client should be treated the same. Doesn't matter what their price range is. And we all work to make a living, obviously. But I mean, there are a lot of days that I would do this for free.
Yeah.
Because just what you get out of it and just being able to find the right house for your client is very cool. Think about this. This is your house is where you build your life. Mm-hmm. It's where your kids are going to meet their friends. It's who they're going to become because of who they meet. It's who your neighbors are going to become your friends. It's going to be your community. That house changes the trajectory of your life, really. So it's important.
Yeah, definitely. So what kind of fun activities do you like to do, Ginny? Told you I was going to take things a little off course here.
I love to vacation.
Yeah.
I do love to vacation. My husband and I have a place in Florida, so I like to go there. Mm-hmm. We have 2 dogs, so love walking the dogs and playing with the dogs. We read a lot. I work a lot, so usually my phone's in my hand, no matter what, no matter what I'm doing. But But to your point, our phones are always with us, but we still have the ability to enjoy ourselves. But it doesn't mean that we can't stop what we're doing for a moment and answer your call and help you along the way as well. Right.
So you touched upon that you like to read a lot. Is there a particular book that has influenced you either professionally or personally? Is there 1 or 2 books that have really hit a chord with you?
Oh, probably not. No, truthfully, I read for fun. My husband reads to get smarter. And I read.
How's that going?
It's going really well. He's brilliant. But I truthfully, I don't read like the self-help books. I read like stuff that I can just forget about life. So
that's more
destruction.
For relaxation and thought. Yeah. Any final thoughts as far as what you'd like to convey out there?
I think that if you're thinking that this year you might want to sell your house, at least get started on it. Call your agent. Find out what your house is worth, find out what the process is going to be. Talk about going to the PLN for a while just to see what that's going to look like.
Can you share what the PLN is again?
PLN, again, is the private listing network. And if you're a buyer and your agent's not checking the PLN for you every day, they're doing you a disservice. Now, I will tell you right now, there's 18 houses in ELmhurst in the PLN. probably only half of them are allowing showings.
Mhm.
So you might not be able to get in all of them. But if you can get in them, it might be a house that not 30 people aren't looking at, that maybe only 5 people are looking at. So if your agent's not looking in the PLN for you right now, you need to talk to your agent about that.
Yeah, that's very sound advice, folks. So, Ginny, how can the people out there get a hold of you?
My email address is on the screen, ginny.leamy@gmail.com, or you can call me at 708-205-9541.
Well, thank you again, Ginny, for
Thank
joining
you.
me on Lend Me Your Ear. Folks, don't hesitate to contact Ginny, especially if you're looking anywhere in the northern half of the Chicagoland suburbs.
Yeah, I've gone everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us do. Well, thank you again for joining us, folks. Again, this is Pat Cannone with Lend Me Your Ear. Until next time.
Bye.